From health to the Minister of Economic Planning and Budget. The State Commissioner, Mr. Okpe George, said the 2026 budget of shared prosperity signed into law by Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu is strategically structured to strengthen infrastructure sustainability, economic diversification, institutional reforms, and inclusive social development across Lagos State.
It's the turn of the Lagos State Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget to reel out the achievement made in the last 1 year and also give an account of how the 2026 budget has been spent so far across board. The ministry, led by Mr. Okpe George, disclosed that out of the 4.44 trillion naira budget for 2026, a total of 1.467 trillion naira was earmarked for critical infrastructure projects, including road projects such as the Ojota-Okpebi Link Bridge, healthcare development, housing projects, education, and public works.
We've ensured that throughout the whole process and throughout the whole various departments of the ministry, we've tried to ensure that we've sustained public sector performance, which we've depended heavily on being able to have an adaptable workforce. We've ensured that we've invested in our workforce within MEPB. During the period under review, the ministry has invested heavily in technical capacity development, increased our digital competence, our leadership training, and institutional learning programs across all various departments that has helped us strengthen our implementation processes. The budget comprises mostly of, it's about a 53 to 47% capital to recurrent ratio. So about 2.338 trillion on capital expenditure and 2.106 trillion on our recurrent expenditure. So again, it touches into the various aspects of our agenda, infrastructure, sustainability. We have over 1.4 trillion, I believe, was earmarked for infrastructural projects, diversification in the economy, so food security, and over 87 billion, tourism infrastructure, over 35, energy, and various institutional reforms. So, once we're a ministry that we work with all the MDAs and all the agencies and we cut across all the various sectors, it's important for us to be able to be responsive and be able to also help and be able to sort of react and be very adaptive. So which is why we're very happy with the work that has gone on within all these various departments over the last year in review. There's an impact. You can see what has gone into it, and indeed it is one of the sort of iconic projects. In terms of how it affects the economy, it's going to help, obviously, ease of doing business is a lot better, property appreciation, commercial expansion around that area. Those will be all positive effects. We also have effects in things like construction or completion of various housing units, projects like the 504 units Lagos Homes in Shango-Tedo in phase 2. Also, completion of strategic roads around the Lekki-Ekpe Expressway area. Unlocking investment that goes into the areas like the free trade zone. So there are various aspects of the budget that we can touch on. Our food and logistics hub as well. The fact that the middle markets have been developed, and so there are key aspects of the budget that has gone into each and every one of these areas. As I said, it's not a list that I can go through exhaustively, but within the breakdown, we're happy to give you a full list and a full impact of how the budget has touched various aspects of our state. And also,
on budget performance, the Commissioner says the state recorded 84% budget performance in the 2025 fiscal year and hopeful of a 60 to 70% for the first quarter 2026.
For us, the first quarter of this year, we typically find that for the last couple of years, we've been about the 60 to 64% in terms of our first quarter performance, but that's always what happens, and that's always how it is, because within the first quarter, things are typically slow, but things normally pick up and ramp up. So again, this year, we're quite optimistic that we'll be able to hit our 80, 84, 85, possibly 90% performance in terms of our budget performance for this year. So we've ensured that so far projections look good, our projections look stable. But I think one of the benefits also for us is that we are also very adaptive, and we also have these reviews regularly where if we see that things are not going the way we want them to be, or we have various shocks, we can quickly adopt and find a way to sort of mitigate against these circumstances. So that's where we find ourselves with that on that question.
The Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget says it remains committed to sustaining prudent fiscal management, strengthening economic resilience, and implementing people-oriented policies that will continue to position Lagos as a smart, globally competitive, and economically prosperous state.